Hi, to Dia McKenzie. I am going to go over my experience on the residential trip to Edinburgh, Scotland. To start with, any real life insights that I gained from this trip. One real life insight that I got, at least for my professional life, is that businesses are always a work in progress. I think I knew that before, but the presentations that we saw definitely demonstrated that companies, no matter how large or small or what sector or industry they are, never reach a pinnacle so high that they can just sit back and relax and put the business on cruise control and let it run itself and watch the profits come in. Every presentation that we had demonstrated how they are constantly working to keep up with the competition, stay ahead of the competition, or just stay in business. Maximilian Events mentioned staying ahead of technology and trying to stay steps ahead of their competition just to stay in business. Musselburgh Racecourse talks about the different events that they have at the racecourse to keep people there when there isn't a race. Glengoyne mentioned the planned introduction of a 30-year-old aged whiskey to create another price point, and as well as to keep up with competition. So I think that was definitely a useful insight that I'll keep with me throughout my professional career. I also learned, again from a professional standpoint, I saw a really good example of how organizations don't always have it together, particularly the Scottish Parliament. They really don't seem like they have a clue as to what to do with that space or how to attract visitors. And what I'll keep in mind from that experience is that sometimes companies don't have it together, and that may just be your job. It may be your job to go in, get it together, and keep it together. As far as how this trip impacted the relationship that I have with my classmates, this trip had a great impact on the relationship that I have with my classmates. I got to know so many people so much better. I think that splitting us up into groups was a great idea. I spoke to some of the girls in my class that I never got a chance to speak to before, and I'm happy to say that I liked them all. I don't have any negative things to say about anyone. Everyone was great. As far as the impact that this trip had on my relationship with the faculty, it was actually pretty good. I am usually not comfortable talking at a casual or personal level with people that I feel are superior to me, like managers, bosses, professors, stuff like that. But Slick and Mark actually made this pretty easy. I really enjoyed talking to them at dinner. By the end of the week, I felt like I knew them on a more human level. I didn't see much of a big space between us anymore, and I'm actually glad I did, because I'm already comfortable talking in class, so now I'm definitely more comfortable talking in class. My expectations from the residential. I would say that my expectations were met. Before I went on the residential, I expected to learn things about my classmates that I didn't know before, my classmates and my tutors, which I definitely did learn things about people from this trip. I expected to find out the different companies' target markets demographically and geographically, and I think that I did find that out. Glengoyne specifically targets men over 40, and their largest geographical target area is North America. Maximilian targets mid to large scale companies, and obviously they target people that are in the UK doing team building, or people that are even visiting the UK. I also wanted to see how the venues use their different space to create revenue, and I did see that. Musselburgh and Cruise Loch Lomond, as well as the art galleries, they have other events not related to their business held there. Loch Lomond and Musselburgh, they have weddings. The art gallery, I believe he mentioned something about different charity events, things that are put on by the government. And I also wanted to see how Scotland was marketed as a destination. From my own observation and from speaking with Paul Mullins, I think that Scotland is mostly marketed to people that visit London. They target people that are visiting London, and they try to get them to go to Scotland for a day or two. My overall impression of Scotland as a destination is that it's a place for people that like history. If you are interested in the past and you're interested in knowing about the UK's origins, I think that Scotland will definitely be a great destination to visit. I wanted to learn something about Adam Smith, and all I learned about him is that he has a statue in the middle of the city. How I envisage using this experience in the classroom. I think mainly by just remembering everything that we were told. When I go to do market research for my market research class, I'll remember in the presentations them talking about the different agencies that they went to. The art gallery mentioning that they work with agencies for artists as well as getting freelance artists. I'll just keep in mind the different ways that these businesses conducted business. So when I'm working on my projects in school, it'll give me a starting point. Depending on what the assignment is, I think I have a better idea of where to get information or how operations are actually carried out in these different industries. If I was to plan this residential trip to Edinburgh, I really don't think I would do anything different. While I was there, I was very tired, and I felt like, why are we going to a restaurant again right now? We need to rest, we need a break. But in hindsight, I think it was great. The one thing that I would change, possibly, is I would put a Western restaurant somewhere in there for dinner. I mean, I know we had Mexican food, that's Western, but I would add like a chain in there somewhere, like a Garfunkel's, or I would allow students to go to McDonald's if they felt like it, just once, just once, because I would have appreciated a hamburger somewhere in that trip. But anyway, it was a great trip. Thank you, Middlesex. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Sook. Thank you, Mark. And thank you to my classmates for making it great.